Welcome to BizTV's Beyond the Brand. I'm Ryan Rains. Our guest today is Kelli Phillips, the host of Beyond the Brand. It's my privilege today to spend some time helping us all get to know Kelli a little better. Stick around. We'll be right back with more of BizTV's Beyond the Brand. Welcome back to Beyond the Brand. I'm Ryan Rains. Typically, I'm over there on the other side of the camera, or as I call it, the more comfortable side of the camera, as producer and director of Beyond the Brand. Today, however, I'm here on the set with Kelli, asking her the same tough questions that she asks our guests each week. So, Kelli.
Should I be nervous?
You should be. Are you ready?
I guess so.
So we've had full disclosure. We've had lots of conversations sitting here about what to do with my legs and how to place the microphones and all these things that I never have to think about because I'm over there.
Uh-huh.
So Kelli, I'm going to ask you the first question.
Okay, I'm
that
ready.
You always ask our guests.
Okay.
Tell me about where you grew up, what your background is, and how you got to what you're doing. How did you get into the crazy world of television and radio broadcasting?
You know, I wish I could say this is going to be a wow story, but in all honesty, I grew up in Portland, Texas, which is about 6 miles over the Harbor Bridge to Corpus Christi. Was in pageants, in drama. When I was 14, one of the prizes was to do a television commercial. Cool,
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
I liked that. Started getting asked to do more commercials. Of course, Portland is a small town. Corpus, that whole area is small. Got asked to do more and more. Eventually turned into long format videos. Still loved it. Got into high school, really involved in drama. Loved the stage. Loved becoming somebody else on stage, not being myself.
Right.
Eventually had that role handed to me where I had to play myself and show who I really was to the audience. Very vulnerable. I did it and I liked it. Went off to school, not college, not knowing really what I was going to do. Unbeknownst to me, an ad was placed by Ken's Television in San Antonio. My mother saw it. She sent in a video resume that I had, a photography headshot, and I was called in to do a screen test.
Oh my gosh.
At 18.
Thanks, Mom.
I was the last person they interviewed, the youngest person they interviewed, and I was hired. I was the youngest co-host of Evening Magazine. The bug really caught on. Got into radio, didn't really have any desire or knew much about the news business, eventually transitioned into news in the Beaumont, Port Arthur market in Southeast Texas, and then eventually transitioned from there. I met my husband. He was one of the guests on my show. I interviewed him. Then I eventually joined him after leaving news on the show that he created and started many moons ago, Texas Country Reporter. Did that with him for about 10 years. We sold the company, the television show, and now we are out doing radio and podcast in a whole new form of storytelling.
Okay, so let's go back and unpack some of that because that
It's
that
a lot.
covers like all of my questions. No, we're done. So first question, do you remember anything from that first commercial you did? Do you remember, like, what was the product? Was it for a local, like,
it was a
plumber,
local,
or was it?
It was not a plumber,
Okay.
thank goodness, because that would have been interesting. No, it was a Kawasaki dealership
Okay.
of all things. But in pageants, you win the pageant system that I was in, you win based on becoming a spokesperson for the different people that sponsor the pageant.
Gotcha.
Kawasaki dealership was one of the prizes.
So did you get a jet ski, or did you get to?
Not a jet ski. I got one of the little mopeds.
Hey.
And I could only ride it up and down my street, and that's it. So it didn't last very long
Yeah.
because my parents were scared of it. I was scared of it,
Okay.
quite frankly.
So what was it about when you got the job at 18?
Mm-hmm.
What was it about broadcasting and about doing the news that made that stuck? I mean, because you said your mom's the one that
Yeah.
basically applied for the job for you,
Yeah.
but you had to like it enough to take it. and to stick with it.
I did, and I do, because it's all about people. And people, to me, are so fascinating. If you think about it, everybody has their own story, and it's just a matter of pulling that story out of them. So being able to have conversations and talk with people and learn from them, and that's constantly what I'm doing,
Right.
even today is learning from everybody. So it's a lot of fun.
What are some of the, not so much the people stories, we'll get to that, but what are some of the memorable news stories that you remember being at the anchor desk for? Because you were there for a minute.
I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Those are the biggies.
Being in Beaumont, sure.
Being in Beaumont, right on the coast. It's amazing, people coming together, and how much, it doesn't matter where you are, those people always come together when it's the worst of times.
Right. Look for the helpers.
Yeah. And being on the news desk, and we actually went out, my co-anchor and I went out as the hurricane was coming over the seawall in Port Arthur. And we saw a few transformers blow and highway signs flipping over our heads, and just being there, to see the magic of nature, as terrifying as it was.
Sure.
But I still get a rush. I see a hurricane coming and I look at Bob and go, can we go? Because you want to go help the people, but you also want to be the one to tell them, stay calm.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry. We have you. We're going to get you all the information that you need. Just follow us. And being that calm within the storm, that was the best part.
Yeah. Yeah. What about, were you on the anchor desk for 9/11 as that was transpiring? Because you did morning stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That
was tough.
That had to be scary.
Yeah. Because at that point, I had 2 young kids and they were both in school, and how do you explain something that traumatic that you've never really seen in our lifetime? Our parents have, but I had never experienced that, and trying to explain that to a child and help them get through that emotionally. Well, we didn't know what was going to happen next.
Well, and not only to your kids, but you're having to explain it to the viewing audience.
Yeah.
And you're learning it as they learn it.
Yeah.
It's live on the air.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of here's this edited piece that we have prepared and worked on, and
we've digested everything.
Yeah, you're digesting it as
it happens.
Yeah.
And for people, I think that's part of the vulnerability, of being in news. You expose yourself, and especially if you're a good anchor and you connect with the viewers, you're putting your emotions out there along with theirs. So they see that you're real and you're experiencing the same feelings that they're going through at home. And I think that gives them some comfort.
Yeah. So you mentioned your 2 sons.
Mm-hmm.
What was that schedule like when you were doing news, which is a demanding schedule?
Yeah.
And you got 2 small kids, which is a demanding schedule.
Well, I tell you what, when I was doing mornings, it was interesting because at that time, I had to have somebody take my kids to school because I was on the anchor desk.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then when they got home from school and they were wanting to do homework, it was very difficult to try to teach them 2 + 2 is as I doze off. And what were we talking about? Mm-hmm. So you kind of learned that when they go to bed, you go to bed. As they got older, my position changed. I went from morning, noon, and then noon to 5, and then switched the whole schedule and became anchor for 5, 6, 10.
Oh.
Which is great in itself because you take those breaks. There's a basketball game, so you do the 5 at the 6 o'clock, and then you go to the basketball game and you get back for the 10 o'clock news. So you can balance it.
Yeah.
Now, when my oldest son called right after he got his driver's license and got stuck in the Sonic parking place, and his car became parallel in front of it, still trying to figure that one out, and he called it 15 minutes before airtime. And said, "Mom, I'm stuck." Went, you gotta wait a half hour, buddy. I can't help you. You're gonna have to call a friend. So you learn to rely on a lot of friends to get you by. But I did tell them I could listen to the scanner and I knew their driver's license. and I knew their license plate numbers.
Yeah.
And if I heard it come across,
Yeah.
there
You knew.
was going to be something to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they couldn't get away with anything.
So I grew up in small towns where the anchors were part of the family.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, we've talked about this, I remember my grandmother commenting on, well, I don't like the way she did her hair tonight, or I don't believe I'd have worn that blouse on the news. Did you ever? And I know you did.
Ever.
Okay.
Every day?
Going to the grocery store, did you? I assume you got comments about your haircut.
Oh, yeah. And when I cut it off, there were lots of comments, pros and cons. But sometimes you just got to change up your look and kind of startle the audience, so to speak. And I did that a few times. I never went to the grocery store without makeup. I never went, in my pajamas. I mean, there were just some things that I didn't go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's got an opinion, and you learn to have thick skin, or you go home and you cry and you go, okay, I can do it again, and somebody else is going to like me.
And it's gotten even worse.
Oh, it's gotten 10 times worse with social media.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion.
Okay, we got to take a break.
Okay.
So you sit tight.
I will.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back with more with Kelli Phillips to get her up to today with her life, with her career, and we'll be right back with more on Beyond the Brand. And welcome back to Beyond the Brand. My name is Ryan Rains. Typically, I'm over there producing the show, but today I'm here, obviously, because that's why I'm here. And Kelli and I have switched seats.
Not really.
Not really. You would be over there, which would be more fun.
I don't know what you'd be seeing.
It'd be more fun for the viewers.
Yes, it would.
We're learning more about Kelli today. So this is a Meet the Crew day, I guess, or at least part of the crew. So Kelli, we've gone through your early career, your news career. Mm-hmm. You hinted when you were giving us your summary about meeting Bob, who was a guest on your show, and then becoming part of the Texas Country Reporter family.
Yeah.
Give us a little more about that.
Well, I had done news for a really long time, and Bob had been working on me for about 5 years. Come join me and my crew. We'll travel all over the state. We'll do incredible stories about people. And
by this time, Texas Country Reporter was a thing.
Oh.
I mean, it was a big thing.
He had been doing it 40 plus years before I joined him as a solo host. So to bring in a second person, that was a biggie. But the kids had both graduated from high school. They had gone off to college. And instead of having that empty nest syndrome, Bob finally convinced me to move to Dallas. Keep in mind, I was in Beaumont. He was based in Dallas. For 10 years, we had this 5-hour long-distance relationship where we only saw each other on the weekends, to now being together 24/7 when we had the production company and television show that Bob founded, Texas Country Reporter. We even officed together. So there was no getting away.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. And it's honestly been for the better.
Yeah.
Really had to find my place in Texas Country Reporter because Bob had to, did it for so long. And it was something he invented, he created, he learned from the great Charles Kuralt. How was I going to come in and how was the audience going to take me?
Yeah.
So it took me a while to figure out my place, but there was a lot of learning, a lot of listening. The biggest difference, I think, from news and Texas Country Reporter is in news, you have a set amount of time that you have to fill. So you don't like, quote unquote, dead air. Texas Country Reporter is more about, or was about, conversations and listening to the other person, active listening without interrupting. So those silent moments that you don't like when you're broadcasting and have time to fill, you wanted those because that's when you get those little gems, those nuggets.
For sure. Was there an interview or a story that when you and Bob looked at the finished product, you realized that's my place? That's where I fit into the puzzle that is Texas Country Reporter.
I can tell you the exact story.
I
There was
figured you
one
could.
story that I pitched over and over again. It was a guy down in Del Rio. His name was Cheeto. He mowed the median along the highway, never got paid for it. Well, Cheeto was born where his hand was crippled. He couldn't communicate like you and I communicate. And I kept pitching the story to Bob, and he went, "How can we interview somebody who cannot speak?" And I
A
went,
fair question.
"He can speak just in his own way." Finally got one of the photographers, who's a very dear friend, Brian Hawkins, to agree. And he said, "I think we should do this story, Bob." We went. It was the most magical story for me, for Bob, for Brian, interviewing Cheeto on the back of a truck, and he's explaining to me the reason he's doing this is because his father died and he is the patriarch of the family and he's taking care of his mother, and he doesn't want to be the beneficiary of the government. He wants to prove his worth in this world, and this is what he has done. And he communicated that not in the same way you and I do, but I proved to Bob that everybody has a story regardless of how they communicate.
And I love what you said. The beauty of that format is you can allow for that. It's not in a minute and a half package.
No.
It's in it takes time for him to tell that story. And the beauty of the Texas Country Reporter format is that you can let the story breathe.
Yeah.
And you can get the good stuff.
Well, and it
out
was
of it.
one of those things where we started and, Cheeto and I took off and we were pulling weeds together and we had this communication almost immediately. And Bob and Brian both saw that, and Brian immediately followed, as did Bob. And, just to develop that connection with Cheeto and then relay that to the audience at home. I mean, that story won a lot of awards and got a lot of recognition, and I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah. So tell me what you're doing now. Tell me about the transition from Texas Country Reporter to your current chapter.
Okay. We sold Texas Country Reporter and the production company that went along with it that Bob had created. We stayed our obligatory time. When we figured out they were going in a different direction, we left. And about that time, we got a call from the Odyssey Network, which is the old CBS radio network. And they said, "Hey, what are y'all going to do?" Well, we weren't ready to retire. I mean, we love going and interviewing people and finding out their stories and being able to share them with everybody. And they said, "Why don't you do this on radio and podcast?" Well, podcast, you really have no time limit. You can go forever. And we always used to joke, so much good stuff was left on the cutting room floor. Well, now we get to include it in the podcast. So now, instead of only covering Texas, we are covering the entire United States. So our geographical map got a lot bigger. We're doing it on radio and podcast. Podcast is our favorite. It's on every podcast platform that you find, or download the free Odyssey app and you find us.
Yeah.
So we're still doing the same thing, just
On a bigger scale.
Yeah, on a bigger
Yeah.
scale. And we're having the time of our lives. We went from having a crew to the two of us. A lot of learning curves.
Yeah.
But we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, and as long as you've both been in the business, we were talking this morning.
Yeah.
If you need help, you know who to call.
Yeah.
And
We've got some great friends and mentors that will help us along the way.
I'm guessing you've not burned many bridges, so you can probably still use those bridges.
The
time.
goal in life is to not burn any bridges.
Yeah.
You're going to eventually, one or two, but
But if you set out with that goal.
it's all about how you treat people.
So I think I know the answer to this. What are your favorite stories to cover on your show?
I just love people and their passion behind what they do. I mean, we don't get into, if they're making widgets, we don't care how they're made. We want to know why it's so important to them. And you feel that passion, you get that passion from them. I can't tell you one story that we've walked away from going, "Well, that was a dud." It's always you're energized, you're more fired up to go out there and face life. You turn on the news and everything's death and destruction and who's hurting who. And we leave all of that alone. I mean, the world is full of really, really good, positive people.
And we see that even on this show.
Yeah.
When we have these people come in who've started companies.
Yes.
And one of the main questions you ask or that you pull out is the why.
Yeah.
And you get to see their passion.
Yeah.
And it's not just, well, I sell widgets. It's okay.
I sell widgets to make money.
Yeah. Never.
Money is not the end all be all.
Yeah. So you and I've I've pitched you some ideas.
Yes.
Since we've been working together when you've been traveling to different places.
Mm-hmm.
Do you crowdsource ideas? Do you have a place where
Absolutely.
if viewers say, hey, I've got this idea in Kenosha, Wisconsin, you need to come?
Yes.
Okay.
We want people, we have a Facebook and Instagram, a YouTube channel. We also have a website, OWN, The Road with Kelli and Bob, Kelli with an I.com. There's a place on the bottom. Fill out, send us emails, send us any story idea. We want them all.
That's great.
But keep in mind that we're looking for people. That's our passion. Is people and pulling out their stories.
And I know from firsthand knowledge that they have a truck.
Yeah, we kind of have a rolling billboard.
Yeah, they've got a rolling billboard, and so we'll put a picture up probably now of the rolling billboard. So if you see Bob and Kelli,
wave,
stop and wave. Yeah,
I mean, we got stopped at a stoplight the other day, and we were right outside of Nacogdoches. Bob was headed for a speech, and rolled down the window. Hey, we're all headed. What you doing? We love it. Stop us anytime.
Well, Kelli, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
The timer is done. You don't know that because you can't see the
timer.
No,
I can't see anything.
You have no idea. I can see it. So thank you for this. This has been fun.
Yeah.
And now we know a little more about Kelli Phillips. So stick around. There's more of Beyond the Brand coming up right after this.
Thanks for watching BizTV's Beyond the Brand. Be sure to subscribe to the BizTV YouTube channel, where you'll find full episodes of this show, fresh BizTV content, and a few surprises each week to help you stay inspired.